Hello, and welcome to this month's Safety Minute. Did you know hand injuries are the most commonly recorded injury in any workplace? And this makes complete sense. After all, it's almost impossible to do your job without your hands. Because of that, hands are constantly finding themselves in the line of fire. Whether it's a crush point or a pinch point, perhaps you work with things that are really sharp. Or maybe it's something as preventable as a soft tissue injury that builds up over time. No matter the cause of the hand injury though, let's face it, hand injuries happen far too often. But I don't really want to talk about hand injury statistics today. I don't even really want to talk about hand injury prevention. Instead, I want to talk about what it's like to live with a hand injury, because I know all too well what that means. The first thing you need to know about living with a hand injury, or really any injury for that point, is when you take that risk, no matter what is causing you to take that risk, you have no idea what it is you're actually risking. This is because it's not until after the incident and you receive the injury that you get to understand how that injury impacts your life and what it is you were risking. For me, both of my hands were severely injured. My right hand is my better hand. If you notice though, I'm missing parts of every finger. My pinky is almost half gone, and the rest of my fingers are missing the tips along with my thumb. You'll also notice that I have no fingernails. On top of that, these three fingers are starting to twist and bend out of shape because my ligaments and tendons are so tight that it's actually pulling my fingers into deformed positions. And if you look from a side view, you can also notice that my fingers are starting to bend backwards. It's what they call swan necking. My left hand is a little bit worse. If you notice, again, I'm missing parts of every finger. My pinky's almost all gone. My ring finger is so short I can't even do something as simple as wear a wedding ring. And the other two fingers, you may notice by now, not only are missing the tips of their fingers, but they're also bent. If you notice, the doctors had to break my fingers and fuse them into this shape so my hand was more functional. Prior to breaking my fingers, both of my fingers were swan necked like this hand is, but a little bit worse. And on the top of my left thumb is also missing. This hand also has no fingernails to mention. Because of that, my hand function is really limited to this flapping motion. That is all the movement I have in my hands. So here's some of the ways now I have had to adjust my life when it comes to these hands. This here is what I use to tie up my skates. I cannot tie up skates any other way because I can't get them tight enough. So I have to use this little gadget to be able to tie up my skates and make them tight enough for me. Buttons are almost an impossibility. I can do them, but it takes me a long time. So instead I have this little tool here. And this little hook slips into the hole of the button, it grabs the button, and then you can pull it through. When it comes to opening up jars, I can't do it. I literally cannot open this as hard as I try. I can't do it. So the way I've had to learn to adjust is I use my body and I'll squeeze it on my body and I can do it finally. If I want to open up a Coke can, first of all, please note that I can't actually hold this can with one hand. If you see it keeps slipping out when I try, I have to use two. And if I want to open up the Coke can, there's no way, because I don't have fingernails, that I can actually grip this tab and actually open it up. So what I have to do to open up a Coke can is use my teeth. And now I can drink Coke. Because of that, you'll find in my house, I'm almost always carrying a glass that has a handle, like this mug. Another adapting way to my life is my gloves. All of my gloves, you'll notice, have the fingertips cut off so they fit my hands properly for what my hands are now like. Most golfers will only use one glove. I have to use two. And the reason I use 2 is not only to give me improved grip, but also because the skin on my hands breaks down so easily that I can't play a round of golf without my hands bleeding. So here's my work gloves. As you can see, every finger is adjusted. Which means when I buy a pair of gloves, I have to buy the gloves, then I get to take them to a tailor and pay for them to adjust them, to make so that it's double expensive. And then small items are also really hard for me to pick up. In order for me to pick up this coin, I literally have to push on the edge of the coin so I can lift up with the other edge and be able to slide under it. I don't have a fingernail to pry up, so I will lift it up by pressure, and that's the only way I can get a coin. A paper clip, well, that one's really hard for me to do. I can use the same technique of pushing on the edge, and in this case it worked really nicely for me, but if it didn't work, I'd literally just slide it off the edge of the table to be able to pick it up. So those are just a few ways in how my hands affect how I live. A good rule of thumb is this: if it takes you one hand to do things, odds are it's going to take me 2. And if it takes you 2 hands to do things, I'll be happy if I can find a new way to do it at all. The reality is, my hands are so injured, there's not an aspect of my life where they do not interfere with how I live. When I look back though, upon the job I was doing and the risks we were taking, I can honestly say it doesn't even matter what that risk was anymore. And I can say that because that job was completed long ago by somebody else. I'll have to live with these hands for the rest of my life. There's no running away from it. There's no do-overs. I can only accept it, and I can only adapt to it. When it comes to controlling risk versus living with an injury, I can promise you it is well worth your time to control that risk. Now I hope you enjoyed this month's Safety Minutes. If you want more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to bring me out to your workplace so I can present to your workers, go to spencerspeaks.ca. And until the next Safety Minute, stay safe.